All right, strap in, everyone. We're going deep on AI and 3D today, all thanks to a research paper you sent my way.
Oh, yeah.
This one's called Baking Gaussian Splatting into Diffusion Denoiser for Fast and Scalable Single-Stage Image to 3D Generation.
Catchy, right?
It's a mouthful, but trust me, what it describes is really cool.
It is.
It's a brand new AI model they're calling DiffusionGS, and get this, it can create a 3D model of pretty much anything from a single image.
Pretty remarkable, the level of detail it captures. Textures, shadows, even reflections. Like, it actually understands how light works.
And in your notes, you mentioned speed is a big thing for you.
Huge.
And this is where DiffusionGS just blows the doors off.
It really does.
We're talking 6 seconds to render a complex model on a high-end GPU.
Yeah.
Traditional methods, that could take hours, days even. What makes it so much faster?
I think it all comes down to this Gaussian splatting approach. Instead of building the model like polygon by polygon, it uses millions of these tiny, colorful ellipsoids.
Understood.
Yeah. Like, think of them as digital sprinkles.
Okay.
They represent the 3D shape, and the model generates them directly. One step.
So no more like messing around with multiple steps, conversions, all that.
Exactly. A lot of current methods, they kind of work in 2D, right? Taking multiple snapshots, trying to stitch them together. But that could be a recipe for disaster, inconsistencies.
Yeah.
Imagine like trying to sculpt a statue based on photos from different angles. Not ideal.
Right.
DiffusionGS, it works directly in 3D, bypasses all that.
So that's for single objects, but the paper also talks about this scene object mix training. What's that about?
That's where things get really interesting. They're training DiffusionGS on data sets of both objects and complex scenes, all at the same time.
Whoa.
This helps it learn like a universal understanding of 3D geometry and textures, regardless of scale. Almost like teaching a child to recognize shapes first, and then letting them see how those shapes become houses, cars, landscapes.
So it's not just memorizing specific examples, it's actually learning the rules of the 3D world.
Precisely. But getting that to work, that's the challenge,
They're
Almost like teaching someone to read a blueprint and understand a city map at the same time.
Okay, so how did they crack that?
A few clever tricks. First, they're super careful about the viewpoints they choose from, both the object and scene data,
Okay.
making sure the AI gets a well-rounded education, so to speak. Quality over quantity.
Smart. They also mentioned something called RPPC, which sounds super technical.
It is a bit, yeah.
What's the deal with that?
Think of it like giving the AI a sense of depth. More than just saying, hey, the camera's here.
Yeah.
It's about telling the AI how objects relate to each other in the scene. Creates this almost human-like understanding of the 3D space.
So it's not just seeing a flat image, it's understanding, like closer, farther behind.
Exactly. That spatial understanding is key to why DiffusionGS can create such realistic 3D models from just one image.
Mind-blowing stuff. But before we get ahead of ourselves, why should you be excited about this? We've talked speed, quality, versatility. But how does this actually play out in your work? You mentioned you're working on a new game.
Right, and this could be a total game changer, literally. Imagine creating these, lush, immersive environments you've always dreamed of, but in a fraction of the time.
Okay.
No more weeks spent modeling every tree and rock. You could sketch a concept, snap a pic, and bam, you have a 3D base to work from. That frees you up to focus on, gameplay, the story, all the things that make your game special.
I'm starting to see the potential here.
And it goes way beyond just speed. Think about those cinematic cutscenes you've always wanted to do. Now you can fill them with these detailed 3D characters and environments. Makes the storytelling so much more powerful.
Hold on. We need to unpack that more, but I think we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
We've talked about how this new AI model works, how it's different from what's out there, and we've even started to peek at how it could change game development.
It's true.
But we've barely scratched the surface, right? The potential applications for this go way beyond just gaming.
Oh, absolutely. We haven't even gotten started.
We've got to take a breather, though. When we come back, we'll explore those applications in detail, and I have a feeling things are going to get really exciting.
Welcome back. I'm still kind of reeling from that last segment.
Yeah.
The idea of generating complex 3D environments from a single image in seconds, it's just wild.
It really does open up a ton of possibilities, and not just for, professionals like you.
Right.
One of the coolest things about DiffusionGS is that it could make 3D creation accessible to anyone.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, the democratization thing.
Right.
Right now, 3D modeling, it's like specialized skill. You need expensive software, a lot of know-how.
Yeah.
But imagine Anyone with a smartphone could just snap a photo and create a 3D model.
It's crazy.
That could be huge for education, for hobbies, for small businesses.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, let's break that down.
Okay.
How would that actually work in, say, an educational setting? Okay, well, think about history class. Instead of just reading about ancient Rome, students could use their phones to create 3D models of the Colosseum, or even design their own Roman villas.
Wow.
It would make learning so much more immersive.
From textbooks to virtual time travel.
Exactly.
And you mentioned small businesses. What kind of impact could this have for them?
It could really level the playing field for them. Imagine a small Etsy shop owner, right? They could create these stunning 3D product images for their online store without having to hire a pro photographer or a 3D modeler.
That'd be huge. High quality visuals, it can make a big difference when you're competing with bigger companies.
Oh, absolutely.
And it goes beyond just, product images.
Right.
This could change online shopping completely.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to try on clothes virtually or see how a new piece of furniture would look in your living room, all in 3D.
Right, and you wouldn't have to worry about buying something that doesn't fit or match your decor.
It'd make online shopping so much more, interactive and less risky.
For sure. It could even have implications for fields like architecture and real estate.
Mm.
Imagine architects being able to share 3D models of their designs with clients so they can virtually walk through a space before it's even built.
That's amazing. No more trying to decipher blueprints.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
we've been talking a lot about practical applications. What about the artistic potential?
Oh, that's something I'm personally very excited about. DiffusionGS, it could be an incredible tool for artists and designers, helping them push the boundaries of creativity in new ways. Imagine sculptures that, seem to defy gravity, or buildings that blend seamlessly into the landscape.
Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Right.
What about the impact on things like animation and visual effects?
Another area ripe for disruption.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine creating these hyper-realistic 3D characters and environments for animated films or video games, but in way less time.
So it wouldn't just speed up production, it could make those industries more accessible to independent artists and smaller studios.
Exactly.
The possibilities are endless.
They really are.
And I think we're just at the very beginning of what this tech can do.
I agree.
But we do need to acknowledge that with powerful tools like this, there are, potential downsides too.
Yeah, that's true.
We've been painting a pretty rosy picture so far, but it's important to consider the risks.
Definitely. There are some valid concerns that need to be addressed. For example, what happens when anyone can create photorealistic 3D deepfakes?
Deepfakes are already a problem with images and video,
Uh-huh.
but bringing that into the 3D world, that seems like a whole other level. What would that even look like?
Imagine someone creates a 3D model of a politician or celebrity, right, doing or saying things that they never actually did or said.
Okay.
And these models, they could be incredibly convincing, especially if the technology keeps getting better.
It's kind of unsettling to think about how that could be used to, manipulate people or ruin someone's reputation. Is there any way to even prevent that?
A tough one, I'll admit. One approach is to try and develop tools that can detect 3D deepfakes. But it's going to be this constant arms race, as the tech for both creating and detecting them evolves.
So we need to be thinking about this from a societal perspective too, right?
Yeah.
How do we teach people about deepfakes and help them develop those critical thinking skills so they can spot them online?
It's crucial, for sure.
Yeah.
Media literacy is so important these days in the age of AI. We need to teach people how to evaluate information, to consider the source, and to know that manipulation is possible.
You also mentioned some concerns about intellectual property.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk more about that?
Sure. If it becomes super easy to just create 3D models from a single picture, there's a risk that people will just start copying other people's designs. Imagine someone snaps a photo of a designer handbag,
Okay.
and then they use DiffusionGS to make a 3D model,
Right.
and then they use that model to 3D print a counterfeit.
That's a nightmare for designers and businesses who are, putting in all the work to create original stuff. Are there ways to protect intellectual property in this new world of AI-powered 3D?
It's complicated for sure.
Oh.
It will probably require new laws and tech solutions. We might see things like digital watermarking for 3D models or new ways to track ownership of 3D designs.
So a whole new set of challenges we need to start thinking about now.
Exactly. It's not just about the technology itself, It's about how we use it and how we change our laws and norms to make sure it's used responsibly.
This has been a really insightful discussion.
It has been.
It's clear that DiffusionGS is a game changer, but it also brings up a lot of big questions about the future of 3D and the role of AI in society.
It's a really interesting time, that's for sure. And I think it's important for everyone to stay informed and be a part of the conversation.
And on that note, I think we need to take a short break to sort of process all of this.
Yeah, for sure.
When we come back, we'll tackle some of the tougher questions around DiffusionGS and the potential for misuse. Stick around.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. We've been talking a lot about the amazing potential of DiffusionGS.
Yeah.
But I think it's time to address the elephant in the room.
Right.
In your notes, you mentioned concerns about misuse, and I think those are definitely worth exploring.
Yeah, for sure. Any powerful tool can be used for good or bad, and AI is, well, no exception. One of the big worries with DiffusionGS is, the potential for creating these incredibly realistic 3D deepfakes.
We've already seen the issues with deepfakes in photos and videos.
Right.
But bringing that into 3D, that feels like a whole other level of, scary.
It is.
What would that even look like?
Think about it. Someone creates a 3D model of, let's say, a politician or a celebrity doing or saying things that they never actually did.
Right.
And these models, they could be so convincing, especially as the technology gets more sophisticated.
It's unsettling to think that someone could use that to manipulate people, damage reputations.
It is.
Is there any way to even stop that?
It's a tough one, I won't lie. One idea is to try to develop tools that can detect 3D deepfakes.
But it's going to be this constant back and forth, as the tech for creating them and detecting them evolves.
It feels like we need to be thinking about this from a much bigger perspective.
That is
societal perspective, right?
Yeah.
How do we educate people about deepfakes? How do we help them develop that critical eye so they can be more discerning online?
Media literacy it's more important than ever now. In this age of AI, we've got to teach people how to evaluate information, think about where it's coming from, and just be aware that manipulation is out there.
And you also mentioned concerns about intellectual property in your notes.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you expand on that a bit?
Of course. So if it becomes super easy to create 3D models from a single image, there's a real worry that people will just copy designs without permission.
Right.
Imagine someone snaps a picture of, say, a really expensive designer handbag.
Okay.
Then they use DiffusionGS to whip up a 3D model.
Right.
And then they use that to 3D print a fake A.
That would be disastrous for designers, for companies that invest so much in creating original products.
You would.
Are there any ways to protect those designs in this new world of AI-powered 3D?
It's a complex issue, definitely. It'll probably require new legal frameworks, maybe new tech solutions.
Okay.
We might see things like digital watermarking for 3D models or new systems for tracking ownership of designs.
So it sounds like we're talking about a whole new set of legal and ethical challenges that we really need to address now.
Exactly. We need to think about how we use this technology, how we change our laws and our social norms to make sure it's used responsibly.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
It really has.
The DiffusionGS, it's clearly a game changer.
Yeah.
But it also raises so many questions about the future of 3D, about the role of AI in our lives.
It's a really exciting time, but a little bit daunting, too. It's up to all of us to stay informed, to ask these tough questions, and to really work towards a future where AI is a force for good.
Yeah. That's a great point. It's been great having you on the show. And to everyone listening, stay curious, stay critical, and keep asking those big questions of honestly.